Hello everyone, my name is Mustafa and I'll be presenting our paper CoGen, Learning from Feedback with Coupled Comprehension and Generation. Let's assume we have trained a model and deployed into the real world to interact with actual human users. Each of these interactions carries learning signals, ranging from explicit binary feedback to implicit observations of partner behavior. For instance, in the example below, the model issues an instruction to its human partner who then correctly executes that instruction. However, we can see that the human's actions don't align with the model's intent, meaning that the model's instruction was incorrect. Past work has made use of learning signals like these in order to improve model performance on a wide range of tasks, from instruction following to question answering. However, learning from these signals can also have unintended negative consequences. For instance, Kojima et al., in their study on improving instruction generation with feedback, found that although model performance improved over time, its lexical diversity also plummeted. This decrease in diversity could be partly because these models are closed systems that only observe and train on their own generated outputs. However, model training does not need to be a closed system. We know that in these interactions, models not only generate language, but are also exposed to and comprehend language from a wide array of human partners, which is something we can leverage. We additionally know that in cognitive science, there is a growing belief that human language generation is not an isolated capability. It is instead tightly intertwined with language comprehension, with both of these capabilities supporting each other when they are active. In our work, we take inspiration from this coupling between comprehension and generation in humans. We specifically seek to make learning from feedback into an open system by coupling comprehension and generation in models via inference and training time strategies. We are particularly interested in the long-term dynamics that come about as a result of this coupling, and how models' language and also performance are affected by it. In order to study these questions, we firstly need an interaction scenario containing both of these capabilities, and for this purpose, we use reference games with a long history of use in cognitive science. Reference games feature two players, a speaker and a listener. At the start of each reference game round, the speaker is assigned a target image from a shared set of images, and their goal is to produce a description for this target image so that the listener can guess what the target is. In this case, our target is image B, so the speaker makes the utterance, "the swan that is swimming." The listener then makes a guess, their guess is correct, and the round is successful. We chose this particular scenario, one, because it contains both the comprehension and generation tasks as desired, but also due to its inherent simplicity, which makes it easy for us to train crowdsourcing workers for our task, and for us to observe improvements in model performance without excessive data requirements. Our choice of the image stimulus is also intentional. We use tangrams, these abstract images that are also commonly used in cognitive science. Recent work has shown that these tangrams pose an abstract reasoning challenge for contemporary vision language models, which gives them ample room to improve until reaching human performance in our task. When studying this coupling between comprehension and generation, one crucial thing is the possibility of a feedback loop. For instance, an improvement in the comprehension capability can also drive improvements in the generation capability if these two are coupled at inference time. As a result, we also need to study coupling dynamics over a long period of time. And for this purpose, we use the continual learning setting. Now, don't worry if this image currently contains a lot of information. We will cover all of it throughout the talk. For now, the key idea is that this continual learning scenario consists of two alternating phases. A deployment phase, where the model is deployed to interact with humans in both of these roles, and a training phase, where we make use of learning signals derived from these interactions in order to improve model performance. The model is then deployed again, repeating this entire process. Throughout this loop, we couple comprehension and generation, firstly during deployment through an inference-time strategy, and secondly during training while constructing the dataset. Let's begin with our inference-time strategy. Normally, in the baseline setting, models use independent distributions for the comprehension and generation tasks. To couple these two, we model joint distributions as weighted geometric means of these two basic distributions, with a lambda term controlling how much weight to place on each task. This joint distribution is normalized over the set of targets for comprehension and over utterances for generation. We call this process joint inference in our paper. We can view this geometric mean on one hand as an ensembling strategy. At the same time, it is an approximation proposed by Fried et al. Of the rational speech acts framework, which has been very commonly used to study pragmatic reasoning, particularly in the context of these reference games. To see how joint inference works in practice, let's look at a comprehension example. In the baseline setting, the comprehension distribution takes as input the context set of images and a human utterance and makes a prediction. In this case, the highest probability is assigned to image D, and the model makes an incorrect guess. In the joint inference setting, we additionally make use of the generation distribution. For every single image, we ask, what would the probability of the utterance be if the target image were image A, B, C, or D? We compute these probabilities for every single image, take this product, get new weights, and in this case, thanks to the inclusion of this generation distribution, we assign the highest probability to image A, making the round a success. During deployment, our model goes through many such interactions with human users, and each of these interactions results in a learning signal. In our setting, feedback is equivalent to task success. If the reference game round is successful, we assign it a binary reward of 1 and -1 otherwise. At the end of deployment, we make use of these action feedback pairs in order to form datasets for the comprehension and generation tasks. Normally, the comprehension model would have no access to generation data points and vice versa. However, when we couple comprehension and generation at training time, we make use of a data augmentation strategy we call data sharing that allows us to convert comprehension examples into generation examples and also in the other direction. The key intuition here is that in these interactions, models not only get feedback on their own actions, but also observe their partner's actions. For instance, in the example below, the model is in the listener role and makes a correct guess. And from this correct guess, we now know that person with a raised foot is a valid description for this particular target. As a result, we can construct a new data point for the generation role, where the model is in the speaker role and makes this very same utterance. This ends up being a very simple way of incorporating the diverse language models are exposed to into model training for the generation task. For the training itself, we frame learning as a contextual bandit problem. Each interaction consists of just one action, the model's utterance or target prediction, and the reward is assigned to this single action, hence bandit learning. We use reinforced style policy gradient updates to train our model. At each training step, we compute updates for the comprehension and generation tasks and add the two updates to obtain our overall update. The comprehension gradient update is shown below, and the generation update is defined in a similar manner. So, to recap, we seek to study the dynamics that come about as a result of coupling comprehension and generation, and we do this in a continual learning scenario, alternating between deployment and training phases. To couple comprehension and generation in deployment, we use an inference-time strategy we call joint inference, as is shown in the thought bubbles, and at training time, we use our data sharing, data augmentation strategy. In practice, we conduct 4 rounds of deployment on Amazon Mechanical Turk, with each round consisting of thousands of interactions. Our evaluation is straightforward and is equivalent to task success on the listener and speaker roles for the comprehension and generation tasks, respectively. As we wish to characterize the impact of both of our coupling strategies, we do a randomized study featuring 5 systems: a full system using both of the coupling strategies, 3 ablations, including a non-coupled baseline, and human-human games, which gives us an oracle estimate of performance and the ability to compare against human language. In terms of results, we find that coupling has a significant positive impact in terms of performance. Our full system achieves the best performance out of all neural systems compared and does so in a very data-efficient manner. Our full system's performance on the second round is better than that of the baseline system on its final round, despite the fact that the full system is exposed to only 1/3 the number of interactions. Both the joint inference and data sharing strategies are crucial for this success, but they are impactful at different times of training. Joint inference has a very strong impact on the early stages of the system's life, but data sharing catches up over time. We also observe that coupling has positive impacts in terms of the model's generated language. For instance, we find that coupled systems all have larger effective vocabularies than non-coupled systems, with the full system having the greatest effective vocabulary size throughout. Despite this, there are still some issues that remain. The decreasing trend in terms of vocabulary size still persists, including for human games, and our model's effective vocabulary sizes are still smaller than that of humans. Although it is important to note that in this plot, the effective vocabulary size for humans is an aggregate over all workers. Besides vocabulary size, we also measure whether coupling increases similarity to human language. We do this using the MOV score for each round, which gives us a measure of the similarity between the distribution of model and human utterances. Coupling greatly benefits the MOV score, with data sharing playing a key role. Systems with data sharing either improve or keep their MOV score stable, while those without it diverge. However, it is the inclusion of joint inference in our full system that allows for a monotonically increasing MOV trend. Overall, we sought to convert learning from human feedback into an open system by coupling comprehension and generation capabilities in models. In our experiments, we find strong positive effects, with models demonstrating faster learning, larger effective vocabulary sizes, and increased similarities to human language. For more details, please consult our paper. Thank you.